Today I'm going to start a new tutorial series about how to build a locomotive in Roblox Studio. We're going to be doing this from the ground up, from just a classic baseplate as you see here, to a fully operating locomotive you can run. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to be building the Yosemite Valley number 26, a rather mid-sized mogul that shouldn't be too difficult to build. As you can see, I already have drawings ready here. Finding drawings can be a little bit difficult sometimes, as many engines do not have drawings made of them, or they haven't been put online yet. You can find drawings in places like Google, various websites, or you can scan your own if you have a magazine or book that has the drawings of the locomotive you want to build in it. Now in Roblox, the maximum part size is 2048, so I highly recommend if you have drawings don't have a lot of views of the locomotive and aren't gigantic, where you need lots of pixels, I recommend setting the size to be 2048. This is so you can upload the entire image onto one Roblox part without any issues. If you need to have it be bigger than 2048, you can split the image up into multiple images using an image splitter. I've done it a few times. It's basically the same method of doing it, it just involves more images and more parts for each drawing. But before we start with the drawings, we need rails. Now building rails doesn't have to be very difficult. For the purposes of this, I'm just going to use a standard Roblox part. Nothing too crazy. I'm going to make them the entire length of the space plate, so you have the most building room possible. I'm going to duplicate it and move it out. Now that's not the gauge you're going to be using. You're going to set the gauge here. And you grab another part, and you want to set the width of it to be the gauge that you want. In this case, it's 4.8 stud gauge, as this is a standard gauge locomotive. Different people have different methods of scaling and gauging locomotives, but for this I'm using 4.8 because that's what I use. I'm going to group the rails together and move them to be centered in the world. This allows for mirroring and makes modeling a whole lot easier. I'm also going to select both the rails and make sure both rails are anchored so they don't move when you're running a locomotive. I'm also going to lock them. This makes it so you can't randomly select them when you're building the model. The only way to select them is in the Explorer. Now that we have our rails, we can start with the drawings. See, when I grab a part, this is the part we're going to put our drawings on. Now these drawings are 2048 by 989 pixels. You want to make that the size of your part. This will make it so Roblox will scale the diagrams to be the same as the part, because they're the same dimension. So you won't get any strangely scaled diagrams where they're too wide or too short. It'll be perfectly scaled so your wheels are round. That's the most important thing. If your wheels aren't round, you're not building your locomotive right. Now to get an image onto a part, you can either upload it through Roblox, or you can use Asset Manager. To use Asset Manager, you have to have the game be published to Roblox, which can be done in the file, and saving it to Roblox, or publishing it. I'd recommend saving it, because you don't need this to be a published game most of the time. You can go to Bulk Import and select your drawing file, and that will upload it, and then it'll show up here. I already have them uploaded, so then you can just drag them over. It might take it a second to load sometimes, but they do. And ta-da, you have your drawings. Now scale them down, you can group them, and just scale them down. I'm going to rotate them so I can scale based on the gauge. As you can see, this is too big. The wheels are way over the rail. Another way to scale is by driver diameter or any dimension on the locomotive. However, as this locomotive doesn't have any dimensions listed, it only has this bar. I don't recommend using the bars, sometimes they're not perfect. For the purposes of this, it'll be scaled to gauge, so you just gotta make sure that your flanges are inside the rails. See the flanges here, this little black part that's a little bit taller than the wheel. You want to make sure these are also centered. You want to make sure they're centered on the track, so that when you're building it, you don't build it off center. So that would be bad. Now that we have them scaled to gauge, we can duplicate them and rotate them to get the other view on the track. And you can do this for however many views you have. You just have to keep duplicating the drawing. Now there's a slight problem here, and you might notice it. Over here, in the front of the locomotive, we can see the head of the rail on drawings. If you go back behind the tender, we can't see the rail. This means the drawings are angled, and we need to angle them so they're actually flat. You can go into the orientation and change it to be whatever you need. For this, seemingly 0.15 seems to be about perfect. Move it down so the wheels are touching the rails. I recommend, if your drawings are angled, you make sure all of the drawings are angled. So for this, I'm going to duplicate the angled ones multiple times. It also looks pretty centered. So we should be good to start modeling. However, the modeling will wait until the next tutorial, where we'll start on the wheelbase. That's gonna be it for this tutorial. This is just showing how to scale drawings and get your engine ready to be built. Goodbye for now. Wow. Oh yeah!